All right, so here we are again. And there is the tool changer. Get the flashlight in here so you can see the red. I had to pick it up here, and get it sort of lined up. It's got a dowel that has to go in a certain place. And I labeled number 1, and I left it on tool 20 when I shut the machine off after I did this. So I know that tool 20 is in the right position. I know that my ring 1 on the ring lines up with 1 on my mark here. I cleaned a lot of this stuff up as well. I just realized that that's missing a tab right there. You can't really see that, but there. So after I picked it up, I've got 2 screws in it to hold it, and then I dropped the jack back down and put these in position because I couldn't get this plate lined up with it. So once I jacked this up to just hold it in place, then I took the screws back out, and now I'm putting the screws back in with that plate in place. So there's the tool changer. And when I took all this apart, I got to eyeballing the other plate, and it was like, man, that thing don't look bent. It looks straight. Maybe I just blew $1,000. So took a trip to Harbor Freight, and I know this is not the most precision straight edge, but it's got to tell you something. But putting it on here so it's flush with that surface, that's how much of a gap I've got over there. So that's a good 1/4 inch difference. Now if I put it flat to that, see, I've got a gap here now where it's flush over here. So what I noticed, and I don't know, let's see, tool number 1 would be this pocket here from the dowel. So what I noticed is tool like 20 in this area, they actually worked pretty well, but when I was over here, so let's see, this would be, there's my dowel, so that's tool 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. So I was having trouble with 10. I know I was having trouble with tool 10. So that one really don't show much of a difference. I thought it was tool 10. It may have been a different tool. But see, as you go around it, see where tool 20 is just about perfect. It's still bent a little bit, but it's, you know, pretty darn close to right. But as you go around this, let's see, let me get it. See, there's a gap here, and that one's flush. So one side is bent down where the other side is not. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking this and just, you know, somebody might be able to bend this back, put a little bit of heat on it, put it in a press like that one over here. You know, and you might be able to just kind of work it until it's flat. And I might see if somebody wants to buy it on eBay or something for, you know, $300 or something. If you could bend it back where it was flat, put it on a surface plate and verify that everything's flat, then it would, you know, it's worth that when you've got to pay $1,000 for a new one. So I might try to do that. At least recoup some of the money I spent on this other thing. But I haven't turned this thing on yet. But I think that's going to fix my problem, hopefully. Grab these. Try not to drop them. It's really hard to do all this stuff one-handed. So, yeah. Just got to tighten those bolts up. And one of the things I noticed too is these doors. See how easily that slides back and forth? I can take my hand and just push nice and easy. The other ones, I had to clean them up a lot, but some of these, man, you would push it and it would just hang. It was gummed up with a bunch of trash and mess. So I'll eventually take this back apart because I've got, you're supposed to have a spring and a little plunger and then this plate right here. And I lost a few of the plungers. There are these little itty bitty things, but I just put the spring in and it seems to be working. Let's see, here's some of the spare parts. And what I'm going to do is take, that one looks brand new. Take some of these and scan them in and draw this up with with SolidWorks. And just start keeping some of this stuff, like here's a piece. And you can see the wear right there. You see that right there. But I could take this and draw it and get these laser cut. Because I think it's like $50 a set of these. And some of the ones that are still in there are worn. So you can see that wear right there. That little bit of wear. So that's supposed to be more like, all of these are pretty worn. But, you know, I can draw that in SolidWorks and just laser cut a bunch of them and tumble them and have extras. Because from what I can tell, the springs really aren't what wears out. You've got these springs right here. These springs don't seem to be the problem. See, I've got a few of these springs here too. So you've got springs like this that go in there, and you can see some of these are kind of goofed up. But when I bought the mill, he gave me all these extra parts. So I'll be able to take these and make some drawings. And look at that. There's the plungers. Anyway, if I would have seen those before, I wouldn't have to take the thing back apart. But anyway, so there's that. I am going to shelf this for now because this is a project. I bought the CNC controller. It's an Acorn Centroid, which is the same as this one, but it's just the newer version that is eventually going to run this. I've got it in the house. I've got a few PCs that I'm going to use to see if I can make all that work. But I just haven't got to the point where I can use that yet. I want to find me a little touchscreen PC, and I'll probably, all that's going to go away anyway. I'll probably make a, kind of block all this off, and I'll have the controller right here in this area. So you'll be able to just, you know, go in here, probably have a keyboard mounted under it, but try to use a touch screen as much as possible. I may have a tray that comes out, I don't know, for the keyboard. But this is just going to get shelved for a little while because I realized that I had started spreading myself pretty thin. So my intention is to focus on this. Get this right, at least where I can bend, if nothing else manually. It may not be CNC, but I'll be able to manually bend something with it. Once I get that done, there's a few projects that I want to get finished that I need this for, which is one reason I'm trying to fix that. I want to get some more practice on this thing because I've only made a few parts with it, and I don't quite have the... you know, when you set the tools, so I might make this part, and this say should be, you know, 1/2 inch. When I make the part, it will end up being like 650 thousandths. So I'll have to go in and change stuff until it's exactly the measurements that I'm looking for. Once I do that, I can run that part 5,000 times and it repeats it exactly, perfectly every single time. So the lathe is very repeatable, but when I change or when I put in the offsets for the tools and stuff like that, something is not quite where it needs to go. I also want to take this and make a back plate for this thing. No, shoot. Right there. So I can have an ER32 collet chuck in here. Because most of what this will handle, I may even make or buy an ER40 instead of that one. I just happen to have a bunch of ER32 collets, so I figured this would be good. You know, I think you can get up to, I don't think it's an inch. You can get up to 3/4 of an inch in an ER32. But an ER40, I think, will go up to at least an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter, which the through bore on this is 1.5 inches, I think. So one of the things I'm debating with this lathe is for about $1,000, I can buy a chuck and the hydraulic thing that bolts to this that will actuate the chuck. So instead of having this, I could just press that button to actuate the chuck. You know, so you can put your stock in, go boop, and boom, that's now locked in. The benefit to that is if I had, you know, a 3-foot bar of stock, I could run it through this and you can buy a little grabber thing for this that will come in, grab the stock, pull it out a certain distance. This will rechuck it, make a part, make a part, make a part. You could just constantly do that until you run out of bar, which would be really neat. The problem is, I don't know if I can justify $1,000 for a hobby. Everything in here, I've not made a dime off of any of this equipment. This, you know, at some point I may make some money with it, but really, this is me learning. This is my college fund, basically. You know, I didn't go to college, so I have bought this for $3,500, learned how to work on the machine. It's been invaluable for me actually at work. I've used a lot of the things that I've taken here that has really saved our bacon where I work, and being able to work on this stuff and learning how PLCs work and how all this stuff functions has been really invaluable. But either way, I can buy a probe that works with this that would actually set the tools. So it's a little thing that flips out and you can bring your tools to it and it would touch them and that would set your zero. So you could actually put it in here. But anyway, it's like $1,300 for that. So I'm looking at like $2,500 to add a couple of extra things to this if I wanted to. Now, I've seen these lathes sell for way more than I've got in them with the other controller, with, you know, in way worse condition than this one. I really like the lathe. I think it's well worth what I've got in it. I just don't know if it's worth more money in something that, am I really going to use it? Is it really justified? You know, it's kind of aggravating to use this manual chuck with a CNC machine. If I had to pick one of the two upgrades, it would probably be the hydraulic chuck to go on this, because I could see that being useful for a lot of things. You can actually get a 5C collet chuck that would work the same way. So there's a few things that I could do that would give me some extra things for this machine. Everything else works really well. The tool setter would be really nice, but if I had to pick one, it would probably be the chuck and the little actuator thing. The downside to the chuck actuator thing is the bore. You end up having to run a tube through this through bore here. So as you can see, I've got like a 1.5 inch maybe bore. I think that's what it is. And the tube that goes through there is going to take, you know, 1/8 of an inch off of that. So you're you're going to limit yourself to roughly an inch diameter stock, which is going to limit what you can do. I mean, obviously you can hold bigger stock in this, but you're actually manually changing the part out. Now, having this, where I can just put a part in and hit the button and boom, there it is. Well, that in of itself would be faster than coming in here and having to use a key to get that to work. The downside to this lathe is this is my work area right here. And it says that you can do a 4-inch OD part, but 4-inch OD is to here, I think, if I'm not mistaken. You see how much that tool sticks out and that tool sticks out. So that takes away from my work envelope. I don't know. I thought about taking a couple of these tools and figuring out a way to pull my tool holder back further to where if I do have something that's bigger, at least have one tool that can kind of take the OD down to whatever I'm working with. So say I do have a 4-inch stock thing in here. Of course, I don't have a tool on center line, but you could see, you know, that's about where my tool's going to be touching, which is, what, a 3-inch OD part, maybe, if that. So I've got a very limited work envelope here. And, you know, for production stuff, little small pins or whatever, that's all you need. And it's the perfect size for my shop that does a lot of stuff. And my intention is once this is where I want it, this would be more of a production machine that would do a lot of small parts. This would be my more prototypey machine. So obviously I've got a very large work area here. So once I get the CNC on this, this is going to be my my big machine. This will do more stuff. It's got a D16 chuck that matches this machine. So all of the chucks that I've got another 3-jaw. This is a Set True 3-jaw. I've got a 4-jaw right here. I've got a 5C collet chuck there. And somewhere around here, I've got a big old honking 4-jaw. I think it's right here. Yeah. I've got this big old thing. So I've got more options with this lathe. And I've already got chucks that fit that one. So I can use them over here. But again, this is going to get shelved for just a little while. I've got to figure out how to get all this stuff working. And I've got to make a decision on if I want to use this saddle or do I want to just sort of break this down and put linear rails here and here and have a completely different saddle that goes back and forth. I'm kind of liking the idea of having 2 linear rails here instead of this setup, but I just don't know. I hadn't really figured out if that's what I want to do yet. But either way, that's where I'm at with this. And I'm going to finish this tonight, hopefully, and test it out. And Lord willing, everything works. Again, I'm going to end up recreating some of these parts because some of these forks, like I said, they were worn and I'm going to need to replace those. But from Haas, a kit which consists of a spring, which the springs work fine, and I think one of these and 2 of these and one of these. These parts are really what wears. You get wear here and you get wear here. Honestly, I have access to a fiber laser, so I'm just going to draw these parts up and pretty much just make me a bunch of them and polish them up and then come back through and replace some of these. So I got to figure out how to do that, which shouldn't be a problem. I've just got to find this. I think that's 3/16 thickness material. I'll have to figure that out. I can always go thicker and surface grind it down or something. But yeah, that's the next part I've got to be able to do. And I think it's $55 per pocket. 55 times 20, that's a lot of stinking money. So and all I really need are these. I really don't need the rest of this stuff. So make 20 of these, make 40 of those, and I can do that out of a piece of material that I probably have laying around somewhere. A little bit of, chamfering and stuff with a grinder. And I've got a bunch of extra parts that I can use. And then I've got the solid modeled, or if I need to make more, I can make more. So I really just can't justify $55 a pocket for whatever this is. So that's the next thing I'm going to do eventually. But right now, everything does seem to work the way they are. They're just a little worn in a few places. But yeah, there we go. I was also told that one of the reasons that this happens is your tools get stuck up in this spindle right here. So especially if you leave a tool in the spindle. So a lot of people will shut the machine down and you've got a tool stuck up in the spindle. This taper, the longer it's being held in place, the harder it holds in there. So what happens is it comes over, and when that, so I don't know if you've seen it, this door opens, this thing comes over, and then this picks back up off of the tool. Well, what ends up happening is it's stuck on there and it pulls and will end up bending or breaking or whatever, that thing. So what I do, and I've been doing this since I had the machine, I leave pocket one open. I always leave pocket one open. I've got everything set up all the way through tool 20, but pocket one I leave open. At the end of the day, I hit this, it changes to pocket one, and then zeroes the machine, and then I turn it off. So pocket one will be empty, which means the spindle will be empty at that point. I've also been told you can take WD-40, I don't think the gel stuff, and spray up in your spindle and spray these, and you also want to put a little grease on these knob things, which I usually have grease on them. But some of these, I guess it's worn off a little bit. But that will help the spindle not stick when it tries to leave it in here. So hopefully that will fix my problem and I won't have to deal with that for a while. But yeah, there we go. It's back together. It's funny. This stuff, I was a little bit afraid of it, of this tool changer. And I kind of wish I could have gotten footage of this out, and all the pieces that go in there. It took me a couple hours of just sitting there leisurely changing these parts out. I did lose a few of those little pieces. So something like this, it'd be good to, have or make a few of them. And again, since I've got the pins over there, I'm actually going to probably make me a few more in that lathe. I may as well. I've got the equipment, so why not? So I'm going to make a bunch of extra of those little pieces. And what I'm going to start doing is when I need to do that, all of this is just going to get replacement parts. As I have to buy parts, if I can machine it, I'm going to go ahead and machine me a few extras. For one, it gives me practice with the mill. Gives me a little bit more knowledge, but really this umbrella tool changer is way more simple than I really thought it would be. It's actually a very simple design. And I'm not a rocket scientist, so this really didn't take that much effort. It wasn't that hard. So, if you've got one of these machines and you've got this problem, don't be afraid of it. You can order the parts. You can fix it yourself. If I would have had a Haas guy come out here, it would have been who knows how much per hour. I would have had to take time off work and all that other stuff. And, I can do this at night at my leisure, and it's fixed. Obviously I've not turned it on yet to verify that, but it seems to be fixed. So I'm going to finish bolting this thing up and get all this crap out of the way. do a few test tool changes, and I'll probably do an update video tomorrow or the day after. I've got a few things I've got to fix. I've got my pastor's van out there that needs to get something with the alternator fixed and a few other things. So I'm going to try to do a few other things, but I'll try to get some more updates and get them to you. So you guys have a great day. Goodbye.